I think we're at the very beginnings of what could be a several-year cycle in gold, and I also put Bitcoin in that category as well. I mean, you have to love, finally, as a gold investor, you've been rewarded over the last couple of weeks, right? Weakness in the banking system and gold rally. That's why you own gold. The reason I think it could be a 2-year cycle is because I think that Fed is close to the end of their tightening. The market is worried now about the consequences, and it could take a year or more for those consequences to roll through the commercial real estate market, right? The banking and lending dynamics. Maybe we have a shallow recession, but at some point, the Fed's going to start easing.
And there you have it from Chief Executive Officer John Van Eck. If you want to hear more from John, you can check him out at John Van Eck 3 on Twitter. What he's talking about here is that the Fed's quantitative tightening cycle is almost going to be coming to an end, if it's not already ended. He's calling for a sideways market. He talks a little bit more about Bitcoin. We'll get to that before the video's out, so make sure you watch this one to the end. And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. We have a jam-packed video, so getting straight into it. Our first update from Bitcoin Magazine. Remember this, Uber is a bad idea. This is what the taxi said. Airbnb is a bad idea. This is what the hotel said. Computers are a bad idea. This is what the newspaper said. And then Bitcoin is a bad idea. This is what the banks are telling you. Each one of these scenarios, what happened? With Uber, Uber is now a big, huge global presence and an easy way for people to get from point A to point B. Airbnb has revolutionized home ownership because now you can use your home not just as putting tenants in it, but now you can use it the same way hotels do. Computers are a bad idea. This is a no-brainer. Computers have changed the entire global ecosystem and how we do business. Bitcoin's a bad idea. Bitcoin's going to do the same thing the computers did, but for the financial markets. So keep that in mind. And where's Bitcoin going? From Joe Burnett. He believes Bitcoin will do another 20x from this cycle's low. Remember, this cycle's low is 15.6K. So you're talking about a $300,000 Bitcoin. When's that going to come? Time will tell, but time's going to be getting exciting pretty soon. And then an update from TA Trader Allen. The Bitcoin has started the new bull rally phase. So right near bear 1, you see we have a strong downtrend. Then we have a weak pullback. Bear 2, we have a strong downtrend. Then a slowing down channel where buyers absorb all the selling pressure. And that's where this is here. Once you break out of this, that's when Bitcoin starts its new uptrend. He just copied and pasted the last time this happened here and then shrunk it down a little bit. So he got it up to about 200,000. We'll see where that peak is. Stock money lizards, exciting times are ahead. Comparing 2019 to 2023, note the years. There's a 4-year difference. So that sort of goes hand in hand with the Bitcoin's 4-year halving cycle. And we hit our head 1, 2, 3 times on this resistance before we ultimately fall down and then ultimately break this out. When this happened in 2019, hit our head 1, 2, 3 times, fall down, ultimately have this breakout, and then a 150+% rally once we get above this trend line. This is definitely bullish and definitely showing that exciting times are ahead. And then another update from Stock Money Lizards. Don't forget to also pay attention to market news and events that could impact the crypto or stocks you're trading. Stay up to date. What this is showing here, if you look at the banks, Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, they've been melting down. There's a lot of fear in the banks. And look at what happened to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been melting up to an extent. And this is the trend. Get out of centralized banking systems and be your own bank. Buy Bitcoin, custody your own Bitcoin, and hold on for dear life. Taking a look at the charts, we see that Bitcoin at the current time this recording is coming in right below 28,000 at 27,895 the current time this recording. And as you see here, Bitcoin has been in a downtrend, and then we broke this downwards channel, and this is on the weekly. So the Super Guppy is showing us that the Bitcoin is back above the EMAs. Now, we have to wait until this red line coils up, But right now, this is looking extremely bullish. Bitcoin has came back above these EMAs, and it looks like we could be seeing some upside. Looking at the RSI is just put in a low back in June of 2022, and we came up, put a high, put in a higher low, and then we put in another high, then another higher low, and the trend is just changing. The trend's your friend to the end, so keep that in mind. So as long as Bitcoin continues to, respect this trend, then it looks like it could be smooth sailing in the next couple years for Bitcoin. We're not in overbought territory yet in comparison to when we bottomed out back in 2018. We came up and put in a higher high here, but we haven't even got above this 70 level yet. So there's a lot more upside for Bitcoin within the next couple years. And then another update looking at the EMAs. Bitcoin right now, if we zoom into this price action, current time is recording, we're actually right above it, but right at it. We haven't had it close. This is on the monthly chart. So we have to wait and see where this month closes. If we close above this purple 20 EMA, this is definitely bullish, because if we look back in the charts, what do we see? Every time we get above this, it gets bullish, but then we get a pullback, throwback, a bounce up. It's the black swan event where the pandemic hit, but when we get back above this and have some closes above this, you see what happens. Every single time above that 20, we're off to the races. So are we going to get this close within another week's time to see if we get that close above that 20 EMA? Without further ado, let's hear what John Van Eck has to say about Bitcoin and the markets. Let's hear from John.
I thought it was interesting you just mentioned Bitcoin, because we have seen this rally in Bitcoin. And I know you have a couple of ETFs that are focused on crypto to a certain degree. So do you see it moving for the same reasons that gold is moving, or is there more at play here?
No, I think it's that simple. I think all the speculation is out of both of those markets. There's obviously no leverage in the Bitcoin market with all the regulatory crackdown and all the crises that we've had over the last year or so. So it's up like 70% on the year, best performing asset. Again, rewarding the people that own Bitcoin for that thesis of wanting a hedge in their portfolios.
So how do you trust it from here? I mean, Bitcoin has been, crypto has been so volatile. It was an inflation hedge, and then it was a risk asset. And now it sounds like you're saying it's back to being perhaps digital gold. Why?
Well, I call Bitcoin like an 8-year-old child. It's very, very early in the stages of adoption. Either there's so many, institutional investors haven't really gotten involved. Central banks haven't gotten involved. I think that's all possible over the next several years. So if you look at short-term performance, Bitcoin was less volatile than the NASDAQ at the end of the year. So if you take any short-term time period, who really knows? But the way I put it, this is, if you want to have this in your portfolio as a hedge, it's pound the table time, meaning you're not going to get a big flare. The starting gun's not going to go off. But at some point, the Fed will start this easing cycle, and you will want this in your portfolio. Short term, there might be pullbacks, and it might be a sideways year for this asset as well. But I do think, when the cycle turns, it could be pretty exciting.